G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to the round 17 stock market video. Hope you've all had a rip over round review. Oh, man. Who's going to come in? We'll talk about. So in the back line we got Jackson Sicily. Oh, what? Jackson Sicily. Never called him Jackson in my life. G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to the round 17 review. Hope you all had a ripper of a round yourself this week. Well, as you can probably tell from the edits at the start, this has not been a week to remember. Football-wise or Supercoach-wise, my Lions couldn't quite get up. I know they were depleted against a pretty determined Essendon side. And I tell you what, they say that a week is a long time in football. A week is also a long time in Supercoach. From the highs of a 2,700 plus score last week to the lows of a 23.49. I've tried to put this round view out about 4 times already, and I can't even seem to get any words out at the moment. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just tiredness. I'm not too sure. Maybe I've gone a little bit loopy as we're getting towards the end of the Supercoach season. But I tell you what, even if I stuff up 100 times, no more takes. I'm just getting into it. But look, the round score for me, as I said, 23.49. My season rank is now 2,096, so I have gone down around 46 spots in the rankings this week. So certainly not a disaster, but you want to be seeing those green arrows, particularly at this stage of the season. And look, where did it all go wrong? Well, I stuffed around with my VC score. Originally, I did post on Twitter, I'm taking Clary's score, I'm playing it safe. You never know what could happen on the Sunday with Lachie Neale. And then unfortunately, the biggest pod on my side, the big NANK, the big fella went down. And so I thought to myself, it's not good. 90% of the top 5K own Jared Witts. There's a 70-80 point difference just between those two players. I really need to try and gain some extra points somehow. I'm just going to risk it for the biscuit and chuck the captaincy on Lachie Neale. And I tell you what, if I hadn't have made that decision at the end of the day, I probably would have actually held rank, I'm pretty sure, or maybe even gained a few spots. So look, it is what it is. We all make our own decisions in this game, but I will be forced into the one trade this week given the fact that NANK has that knee injury. So I'll talk about who I'm looking to get in a minute. And look, apart from that, I'm just going to ride the wave. 5 trades in the bank, about 20k to go along with that. So haven't got a heap of cash, but given the fact I've got 5 up the sleeve, if there's any further carnage, then hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to deal with it okay. So that's it for now. That's it for the intro. Hope that you're all well. Let's see how the team's actually looking. I'll start off in the back line and some nice scores this week, along with a couple of mediocre scores, but we'll start with James Sicily, or Jackson Sicily, as I like to call him. Only the 92 points this week after a lovely 139 last week. I'll forgive him. I thought he might get close to 100, but 92 points. That's okay at the end of the day. Jack Sinclair, again this week, was given a fair bit of freedom up until half-time. He was on about 70 points, so this was looking like another 140 type score, but did slow up a little bit in the second half. We know that Freo really dominated that game. So 110 we'll take from him. That's really nice, particularly given the fact there was no defensive pressure on him. Doherty, 131. Another fantastic week for him to push out this score, particularly when Dawson didn't go overly well this week. So if I can gain 40 to 50 points just on these 2 selections in 1 week, then that's really favourable for me. So kick count was right up there again. I think it might have been 21 to 23 this week. It was only the 12 last week, so I've managed to double that, which has obviously resulted in a much higher score. Hewitt, this 123 is really nice because lately he has been sort of struggling to get to the ton, and when he has been getting to the ton, he's just been getting there. So the fact that we saw more of a ceiling type game from him with that 123 is really nice. Thank you very much, Georgie. I really need it this week with the way some other players in my side were performing. This man I'm starting to get worried about, Jack Crisp, only a 77, did start in the midfield, then actually transitioned down back, particularly in the second half. So I don't really know where this bloke is at. I think he's definitely a luxury trade if you've got some in the bank, but I'm probably just going to have to hold him from now until the end of the season. If I did have a trade and I was looking to upgrade someone in the back line, it's definitely out of Crisp and Short. Well, I'd look to probably do it in a few weeks. I'll see how they're tracking and maybe make the decision then if I'm, in that lucky position myself. And Jaden Short, well, a 95, Yeah, he had a really, really slow start to this game. I think he was on about 12 points and then had a really big impact in the second quarter. And I think he was on about 55. So I'll talk a lot more about what he actually did in the stock market video. I just want to get through this round review pretty quick this week. But there were a few more positive signs, but more for spurts during the game. Didn't really see a four-quarter performance from Shorty this week. Massimo, this is really unfortunate. So I'm not sure if it was a corky or a quad or exactly what it was. From memory, it was a corky, but 36 from him. If you did have him covering, for example, for a Daniel Rich this week, yeah, that would hurt a little bit, particularly given the fact he went 80 plus the week before. I'm not too sure if he's going to be missing next week or if he might be able to get over it, but yeah, just unfortunate. We'll have to see what happens with him. Dirksen didn't play is a loot for me. Here we go. So did have Clary as a VC. Super unfortunate. He does have a fractured thumb, so he's likely to miss a week. It hasn't been guaranteed yet. As you know, the big fella will most likely try to get up, and I'm sure that he'll want to play himself, and he would be prepared to play through it. He's a really tough sort of a bloke. But yeah, I think he's likely to miss one. I don't think it'll be any more than that, though. So he's a definite hold for me. Don't look to trade him out unless you got 15 trades up your sleeve. You trade him out and trade him straight back in or something like that. Took, I was so close to putting the VC on him. Originally, I did have Don Miller, and then I looked at Oliver's recent form, the fact that Took has been a little bit up and down, and I thought I'll probably just go with the bloke who I think is maybe a little bit more guaranteed, even though he probably had the much harder matchup this week with Geelong. But yeah, just made the wrong decision there. But yeah, really nice to see a 135 from Took. He was really on his game, real tackling beast as well. Lachie Neale, he just got shut down. Caldwell just got the better of him. Simple as that. It was... I won't say that Lachie Neale didn't try. That would be absolutely silly to say that. But it looked like he lacked a little bit of energy. I'm not sure how to describe it, but I was expecting a lot more. He was the captain this week in the absence of Zorko and Harris Andrews, and Daniel Rich, I think, is the other VC. So I was expecting him to really, really step up. But it was, yeah... just one of those weeks, I think, from Lachie. Had a lot of attention, didn't have a lot of teammates around him that were willing to help him out. I should have just kept it safe with Clary, but you make these choices. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Jack McRae, simply losing trust with him now. Look, he got to 3 figures, which is okay, but we don't associate just getting to 3 figures with Jack McRae, or we may associate that with him a little bit more this year, but in years past, just simply not. But it is what it is. We hold on to him. Most of us have got him. Andy Brayshaw, 132. This bloke absolutely dominated again during this game. Tackled well, got a heap of the football. Didn't use it overly well at times, but simply, I reckon he gets underscore. I say it every week. I'm not going to say it again, but it was a little bit strange with the way some of the Freo players were scored this week, just to my eye anyway. Zachary Merritt, this bloke played out of his skin. So he was on over 70 points at half time, and I thought, beautiful, if he can just go 50, then I'm getting another 120 off him, and I wasn't expecting that this week. But the fact that he was able to continue that great form and even do better than what he did in the first half just really did blow me away. It wasn't great to watch as a Brisbane supporter, but, you know, there are a couple of instances. One, he had the ball right on the boundary line. Great little kick, a dart. Was it into Snelling or someone else right there on the goal line? They kicked truly. He just had a really, really good game. It's like everything he did sort of touched to gold. So Parrish was out, and this bloke really, really stepped up. I know most of the midfield had a pretty solid game. Caldwell played out of his skin. Shield had a decent sort of a game, but this bloke really did lead the way. He was fantastic. Track, couple of beautiful goals, long-range goals from 50. Couldn't get him to the ton this week, unfortunately. He was just Mr. Butcher, didn't get enough of the football either. I think it was just over 20 touches from memory. So when you're only getting it around 20 times and you're only using maybe half of those disposals effectively, then even with a couple of goals, it's hard to get a decent score. As I said in the intro, a week's a long time in football. From the highs of a 189 last week to the lows of a 91. Halved his score, but yeah, we can't expect him to go anywhere near that each and every week. Cripper, I thought he would have scored better for this game. Had a big fourth quarter in particular. Hit the scoreboard again, which has really been lacking, particularly in the last 8 weeks. So that was nice. But again, he's one of these blokes that if we can, we probably look to luxury trade. I was looking to actually get him up to lead this week. I haven't even mentioned this. I was speaking of spills, but a play I was looking at was to trade Greg Clark down to 102K type, and then upgrade Cripps to Rory Laird. I could have actually done it this week, But given the fact that NANK is now out, if I had have done that, I'd only be left with 3, now 2. Probably glad that I held off, even though Lead is the much, much better pick and almost a must-have, I think, this year. Clark came on for a 2. I haven't even looked at how much he's gone down, so that's super unfortunate. I can't believe he came on for a 2. That just kills his break even. Really, really bad. Morris, 26. Does he keep his spot? Does Clark come back in? I'm not too sure. I know lots of Richmond fans were calling for Castanha's dropping this week. They weren't impressed with his performance. Yeah, not too sure what's going to happen there moving forward. Owens obviously isn't playing. And then we've got the Ruck. So Big Shrek with a 111. That's okay. I thought, again, he was a little bit underscored here. I really, really did. Lovely goal to open the game. I don't know if he meant it, but I think he claimed that he did. I don't know. I'm not going to get in. I'm not going to get salty about the Freo scores. But I am interested to try to get a bit of a breakdown of it anyway. But a 111, that's all cool. Particularly when he got Nank's 37. So, yeah, that one hurts. We're going to have to trade him out, as I said. Bont, just an average type game, like most of the Dogs. I think he was their second highest scorer from memory. But at least he got to the ton. It's not the worst, but as a side, the Dogs are just really underperforming and been a very below par year for them. Timmy English, again, I put a tweet out about this bloke, and I will talk about this a lot more in the stock market video. It's a little bit hard to describe, but he was so reactive in the ruck. Even when the peanut went down, Sam Reid came into the ruck, you thought, well, awesome, he's got a little bit more of an advantage here. Even though we know that he doesn't score his points in the ruck, it's more around the ground. But he just got dominated by Reid in this contest. It was like the umpire would throw the ball up, English would look at what Reid was doing or the other ruckman, and then look to react after that. And by the time he did, it was too late. It was really hard to describe. A few times where he sort of looked to tap it to himself, but couldn't quite gather. Things just didn't come together for English. But as a couple of people did reply to me when I put the tweet out, if 97 is a floor type game, if this was one of his poorest performances for the year, then that may actually be a good sign scoring wise. So I do agree with that. And if you're looking at the glass half full rather than half empty, then that's probably the thing that we focus on here. Cogs with a 113. Again, he's been fantastic since I've traded him in. Hasn't gone under the ton. He's just going to be a really reliable selection for us for the rest of the year. Brody, again, I'm really questioning this. I did put a tweet out, so if you do follow me on Twitter, check that out and maybe follow that one. I did compare his stats to Callum Mills' stats from the week before. So Callum Mills had around 13 disposals, a goal, I think it was 3 tackles, 3 clearances, couple of frees for, 1 against. If you compare that to Brody's stats this week, and Mills got an 85 for that, Brody was only awarded the 88. Now, there may be a reason for this, but he had twice as many disposals, twice as many goals, twice as many clearances. I just can't work it out sometimes, but I thought he was pretty ripped off. I thought this was a pretty solid game from Will Brody, but 88, yeah, very highly owned player. It is what it is. Dunkley, 62, again, a highly owned player that failed this week. It is what it is. Not much we can do there. And Parker is a nice player. A 113. He's still a relative pod when it comes to some of the bigger premium types. Like, he's in half the teams of a Dunkley, a Brody type. Bont is in more teams, I think, by about 5 to 7% there. So he's been performing really well. I know last week it was a bit of a down week, but as an overall selection since he's come into my side, he's been really successful, Luke Parker. And Paddy McCartan, well, I've had him on field for the last, I reckon, 5 weeks, this bloke. And the one week where I actually can't even loop his score is where he goes a 108. So, look, he's great to have as cover, and I'll almost guarantee you that he'll play a big part in how my season finishes, because with the carnage that we may see coming towards the end of the season, I think it's really important to have at least one bloke who's going to be super reliable cover, and that man is McCartan for me, who does it on both lines. And how is this? Malcolm Roses. Now, don't get me wrong, he wasn't an emergency, wasn't on field, anything like that, but he pumps out a -8 with an injury, so that couldn't have worked out any worse for me. But yeah, he wasn't doing much anyway, but even if I look to downgrade him, I've lost a heap of cash this week, which is frustrating. But look, that is aside. On to the trade now. We've only got 21k in the bank. I think, well, I know that I can do this, so I'm pretty sure that I can. I haven't checked it out for sure yet. I can. So the man that I actually traded out for NANK, Jared Witts, I think he's a bloke that I'd trade back in. I'll just get him out for a sec. The other options we've got here, Gorn 6.14, just too expensive. Can't go him. Blitzarves, I'm not going to go. Goldstein, yeah, had a really nice game this week with the 120, but the 57 the week before. Rob, I can't even afford him. He's 5.71, too expensive. I've got Shrek, not going near Rowan. Geez, Big O had a nice game this week, could have been so much more. Darcy Cameron, no, with Grundy coming back in, he couldn't do too me to Peter. Jackson, Chol, De Koning. Yeah, where are we going here? Got English. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a really obvious one, and that's simply to bring Witsy back in. So Wits comes back in, 8k in the bank. Lucky Witsy had a couple of down weeks. Did have that one big week, a couple back against Port, but apart from that, he's been pretty average. So that's how the team's going to look now. So from the back again, Cicely Sinclair, Doc Hewitt, Crisp Short, Ambrosio Dirksen, Oliver Miller, Neil McRae, Brayshaw Zeret, Petrarca Cripps, Clark Rioli Owens, Shrek Darcy, Witsy and Teakle, then the Bond English, Cogs, Brody, Dunks, Parker, Pad McCartan with some really nice cover there, and then I'm not sure what's going to happen with Roses, if it's long term or, yeah, but I really don't need to rely on him too much anyway as things stand. So that is a team, guys. Hope that you had a ripper week this week. Stay tuned for the stock market video. I'm going to try to get it out a little bit earlier this week. I have been pushed for time, but I'll do my best to get it out as early as possible, just in case you've got an upgrade or two to make in your side. So all the best. Hope all is well, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.